Well, hello, Ian Anderson Gray here for episode 184 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Well, today we are delving into the world of Discord. Have you even heard of Discord? Well, it is the darling of the community world. Yeah, I think that's the right way of putting it. It used to be maybe, I think a lot of people think it's to do with gamers, that only gamers use it, but so many YouTubers, so many marketers, so many business owners that I know are getting involved with Discord. I'm a member of lots of Discord groups, and I started to think, well, how do I get to know more about it? And then I discovered that my friend Mandy Edwards knows a thing or two about Discord. And I also realized that we'd never actually, although we've kind of known each other for so many years, we haven't actually spoken face to face, which is completely nuts. So I'm very excited to bring in Mandy Edwards. How are you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good, I think. Yeah, I'm doing. It's been a busy week, and I think you've had a busy week too, haven't you? You seem to be very busy.
Yeah. Work is busy. 2 teenage daughters. One's graduating high school this year. Yeah, it's very busy.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
They're 13 and 17.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that sounds. Yeah. I think every single age has its challenges and its blessings. Our kids are 12 and nearly 14. So at the moment, it's kind of, I feel like I'm basically dad's taxi at the moment. I'm all over the place. But so, yeah, well, thank you for joining us. And if you are watching live, welcome. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And let us know your Discord questions. Is Discord something that you've even heard of or played with? That's what we're wanting to know. So, Mandy, you're dialing in from the state of Georgia, I think. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad. I thought it was Georgia. The furthest closest I've been to you is either North Carolina, which is not very close, I admit, or Orlando. So I've not been into the states in between, but it seems like how would you describe Georgia as a place?
Georgia is, I would say, classic South. If you think of Old South, you've got the city of Atlanta, which is massive, which you get outside of the city of Atlanta, and Georgia is a lot of agriculture, a lot of farmland, a lot of magnolia trees, a lot of history, a very, I would say, old, slow pace of life, but modern is the best way to describe it. But it's nothing like, if anyone's seen the movie Gone with the Wind, yeah, that's not what Georgia's like. No,
I can imagine.
It's very nice. Southern hospitality is real.
Yeah.
We are very nice to people. And so we treat everyone like, we invited them over for Sunday dinner.
That sounds like an amazing place. Well, hopefully one year I will get to Georgia. It will happen. I can see we've got Kevin watching on YouTube from Seattle, Washington. We are a global audience here. I wonder whether there's anyone else in the UK or other parts of the world. Do not be shy. Let us know where you are watching from. But it is time to get on with the main part of the show. We're going to get onto Discord, and I'm excited to find out a little bit more about that. So let's get on with it right now. Hello and welcome to episode 184 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. In today's show, we're talking about Discord. I've got my friend Mandy Edwards, who is going to tell us all that we need to know about Discord. What on earth is it and why do we need it? We'll be with you just after this.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello. It's great to be here for another episode of the Confident Live Marketing Show. Well, it seems that everyone at the moment has a Discord server. Not quite everyone, but anyone from my favorite YouTubers to top marketers have a Discord server. And I've been starting to play around with this, and I've joined many. I think I'm probably a member of about 15, 16, maybe even 20 Discord servers. I can't even remember. But what is Discord? Why should you want to use it and maybe even set up your own server? Well, in this episode, I'm joined by the fabulous Mandy Edwards, who is going to tell us all that we need to know. And I'd love it if you are watching live. If you've got any questions, I can see we've got the fabulous Verna is here. I think are you London or something like that? Watching on Facebook. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. So let's talk about that. I want to introduce to you Mandy Edwards, who is the owner of Me Marketing Services. She's a graduate of the University of Georgia's Terry College of Business, and she has 20 plus years of sales and marketing experience. Past work experience has included print marketing, sales, and local store marketing for Chick-fil-A. And she is married and the proud mother, I should say, let's get that right, of 2 redheaded daughters who constantly keep her on her toes. Welcome to the show, Mandy. Great to see you here. Let's get the chair. Roll out the red carpet. Awesome to have you here, Mandy. It's, as I was saying just before we started, we've known each other in the online space for many, many years. I mean, you said to me that you'd set your business up about 11 and a half years ago. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's about the same time as I did with mine. And I think, I can't remember where we kind of saw each other. It might have been on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, or a combination of all of those things. You're from Georgia. You've got 2 redheaded daughters, and I empathize with that because you wouldn't think that, but I'm actually a redhead, although not anymore. I've gone brown. I'm probably going grey. So yeah, is it true
That's
that
how I am? Mine was bright red and it's gotten darker.
Is it true that as redheads are just very feisty and hot-headed? Do you think there's some truth in that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that it is true. It is true. Well, thank you for joining me today. I've got so many questions I want to ask you, and I think there's so much that we can talk about. But can you remember how over the last how did we kind of meet each other? What were you doing kind of 9 years ago? Was it Facebook, Google Plus? Can you remember those days?
Google Plus, that's a flashback right there.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if people who are just getting into this even realize that even existed. I think honestly, it probably came from a Facebook group and then onto Twitter. Between the two of those, I'm really thinking probably we were in the same Facebook group at some point.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Because that's back in I would say your 2012 to 2015 range. I mean, that's what it was, is all Facebook groups, different marketers in Facebook groups. I mean, online marketing is all Facebook. So that's probably where it started.
I think so.
We followed each other on every other platform. So.
Yeah, well, that's what you do, isn't it? And of course, we're great friends with Mark Schaefer. Both of us, and you're doing you've. I mean, one of the reasons why I've got you on the show is because you've created Mark Schaefer's Discord servers. So I think we're in similar circles there. So tell us, how did you get to this point today? We're going to be talking about Discord. I know that you don't just do Discord, but tell us just a brief history of how you got into, say, marketing, social media, and how you got into Discord today.
Well, I've been doing marketing since I graduated college back in 2001. I say in my former life, I did print advertising sales when that was such a thing, and working in the newspaper industry. And through different twists and turns in life, I ended up doing local store marketing for our local Chick-fil-A restaurant, and then was with them for a few years, and then just had to take a break from it all after having my youngest, and decided that I was just going to jump in, and I had other businesses approaching me to do contract work. And I said, well, I might as well just form my own business, which I always wanted. And in 2011, jumped in and, launched ME Marketing. And from then, I thought we would be doing a lot of your, because that was, 2011, social media was there, but businesses weren't really using it. And so I thought I'd do more traditional marketing, which I came up in. But, not too long after that, businesses were asking, how do you set up a Facebook page? Okay, how can I do this online or that online? And I've always been a tech nerd anyway. And so I took a few weeks and really immersed myself in, social media marketing at that time. Now, keep in mind, this is like 2012, early 2012. And from there, it just kind of went. I was the first company in our local area to do social media marketing or any kind of digital marketing. So we kind of got in on the ground level and built a really good client base. And as social platforms and digital grew, so did we. Doing social management, which is most of what we do now, is social media management and digital advertising, and just kind of been rocking and rolling with that ever since. And with and then through that, active on Twitter, love Twitter. I followed a lot of college athletes because one of my big passions is American college football, and with my alma mater. And, following some of the former players, I saw a couple of them come together and they were launching a company called the Players Lounge, which works with student athletes in the new era of NIL here in America, name, image, likeness. College athletes now can profit off of schools using their name. They can go sign sponsorship deals as an amateur. And so they formed a company to, kind of help with some of that. But their community was largely on Discord. So that's where I jumped in. And then, now I'm overseeing the social for the whole company for Players Lounge, from the top down to some of our college teams that we work with. And, I love Discord. That's kind of where I got into that ground floor. And then knowing Mark, he was wanting to, he had been toying with the idea, but found out I was doing it. And he said he was going to, quote, snag me up before anybody else could. And so it had me set his up. And so that managing that. And so that kind of all leads to where we are today.
Yeah, definitely. It's we've known each other for years, but I didn't know that you did Discord until I saw, I think Mark Schaefer said, "Oh, I've got Mandy doing this." I thought, Mandy, does she just do? I didn't know she did Discord, but then I was blown away by what you've done with that community. But you said something really important. All this work that you've been doing with, what is it again? What did you say? NIL? Is that no? What was it? Yeah,
NIL. The name, it's name, image, likeness, but it's called NIL.
Yeah. So with that, the whole community thing is so important, and a lot of people think about the technology first. And I'm going to be completely honest here. That this is often my problem. I get overly excited by the tech, and I know you do too. You get excited by the tech as well, but then we forget. There's a lot of other work you got to do first. You've got to build the community first before you create, in a sense, the system. So there's no point creating a Discord server if you don't have a community. So can you tell us, before we get onto Discord, what are your views or what are your recommendations if people are wanting to build and grow a community? And that might be on social media, it might be around a live show, or it might be somewhere else. What are the ways to do that? I know it's a massive question. We could do a whole show on that, but I would love to know your views on that.
Well, first, I think it comes down to, if you're doing it for you yourself as an individual or for a company, you've got to be real and know who you are. There's so many people out there right now that are fakes. I mean, you look at influencer marketing and you can really see through who's being genuine about it and who's not. And I think the people that attract the most and build the strongest communities, even companies, are the ones that are the most authentic and the ones that are real, that they've got a personality, or they've got something that people are truly interested in and they want to follow along or be a part of. Like you see some of these companies that have Lululemon. They've got, this whole community around them that's obsessed with these $100 leggings, which, disclaimer, I own a pair. They are fantastic. But but they've done a good job with that because it's, there's a commonality that everyone can come and, interact, and there's a common, thread among all of them. But, there's got to be something compelling and real to attract a community in the first place. Because I know, especially with Gen Z right now, and of course, having 2 Gen Zers in my house, it's kind of like a live marketing experiment every single day. They do even my oldest, we'll sit and talk about it. She said they can see through the fakes online, and there's so many out there trying to build communities that's targeting, that particular generation, that they can see right through it. And so I think the biggest piece in building a community is being real and authentic and having something compelling. And, you can, any of the social platforms, you can convey that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I'm just looking up like generation. So in the UK, we call it Generation Z, but Gen Z is like, everyone knows that, but is like it's supposedly between aged 8 and 23 years old. I don't know whether that's still true, but I think my kids are Gen Z as well. So
it's more, I would think it's more your teenagers or your like first 2 years in college in America. Yeah. You're under 21 group. But
there's a lot of people that will talk about authenticity, and it's kind of, in a sense, it's almost over talked about, but you're so right that authenticity is vital for building a community. And I just don't understand. I don't know how people can fake it for that length of time. It just sounds exhausting to me. I don't know. I just can't. I kind of have to be myself, really, in a way. But I think there is this kind of temptation, in a way, to try and be somebody else. Particularly on camera, we feel that our personality is not enough, and that we're flawed. But it's actually kind of leaning into those flaws, I think, and being yourself, and that takes time. We've talked a lot about that on the show, about the whole mindset side of things. Any thoughts on that side of things?
I agree with what you said. I know there's such a pressure to, everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to say, oh, I have a community of X thousand, number of thousand of people. But, you see those that, you're right. You can only fake it so long, and then the cracks are going to show and things are going to falter. And that's when you end up with a PR disaster. And, it's just, as long as you can, if you're just you and people, follow you for who you are, even as a business, that's going to stay true. Because, even those flaws you mentioned, that's sometimes what brings people together. It's like, oh, okay, this person has this large following, but they struggle with the same thing I do. And so it's just making it all real. And I think if everybody was truly real and not fake online, even if you're not even doing it for business or personal, you're just showing a whole nother, a different life than you really lead. A lot of that, it's going to come out, in the South, they say it's going to come out in the wash, but it'll all come out in the end. It
is so important, like, because if people then get to meet you in real life, say at an event, or I don't know, they hire you, and they become your client, they're going to know the real you pretty fast. And if you have faked it, that's not going to be good. So I think we know that. But let's get into Discord. How would you describe Discord? Are there any other platforms out there? In some ways, it kind of reminds me of Slack or Twitter or a Facebook group, kind of. There are similarities with these things, but what's different about Discord?
I think if people are unfamiliar with Discord and they are familiar with Slack, that'll be the easiest kind of comparison. It's very Slack-ish, but it's a lot more, I would say, friendly and interactive and more about the conversation. Discord, other than Slack, I really don't know of any platforms that are similar to it out there. But to me, it's a place that communities in any sector can come together and have fun, have conversations, have video chats. It's a great place for a community to live, because, you can have your communities in a Facebook group, but you're limited. You can have your community on Twitter, but you're kind of limited. I feel with Discord, you've got, from a community standpoint, there's more options of things you can do. and, ways to interact with each other than on, the different social platforms.
Yeah, I would agree that it almost seems like bewildering how many different options there are on Discord. And you mentioned it's not just chat. There's the options for voice chat on there. I don't think I've actually I kind of used it. I think I've been in the voice chat room, but I don't think I've actually participated yet. There is the video as well. Can you do video on?
Yeah, you can do video. You can do live video.
Yeah, I thought you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Players Lounge company I work with, we've got a massive Discord channel, and we did a golf tournament back in the spring, and one of the guys was logged into Discord on his phone, and through the app was doing live video. So he was like going, basically like if you go live on Facebook or whatever, or live on YouTube, you're going live in Discord. And so he was kind of doing a ride along on a golf cart with one of the guys. So there's that, there's voice channels, and they also have a really cool feature, which is a stage feature where we've done with that group several AMAs, some Ask Me Anythings, where you've got your people up on stage as the hosts, and then you've got the audience, and they can raise their hand to speak, and then you can click for them to come join the stage, and they can, talk and ask their questions, and then you can move them back. Almost like imagine an in-person like panel, and you just move it online. It's just, you're doing it all. It's the same kind of format and everything, where you can, give people the floor. That's been a lot of fun to do with different, within the Players Lounge. We've had a couple different ones, but yeah, there's those. And of course you have the good old fashioned chat where you just type it in.
Yeah. So you've got the option of all these different things. Now, Kevin in the chat is asking a little bit more about the live video aspect of this. And this is maybe something I want to revisit on the show, because at the moment in today's show, we're just talking generally about Discord. But Kevin's asking, can you live broadcast video out to the public? Also, how many people can join you on the video broadcast? So tell us a bit more about that, because to me, it seems that it's a private community. Isn't Discord all about private community? Tell us a little bit more on that.
Yeah, when you do the video in Discord, like if you're doing a live video, it is only broadcast live to that particular server. And I think you can even get down to a specific channel. We just did it server wide. Where, if you're a member of that server and hey, they're going to go live at like 8 a.m. tomorrow, if you're in that server, it'll pop up, so-and-so is live, you click and watch, but it's only to that particular community. It's not open to the general public like you can do on YouTube. And then the way they watch it is, if they're in that server, there'll be a little, on your channel list on the side, it'll pop up for the video that you can click on and watch. And you can watch it on your phone or your desktop. But you've got to be logged in Discord.
That's really cool. Okay, so this is something I want to look at a lot more in the future. But I don't have a Discord server at the moment. I have a community. So this is something that I don't need right now. But it's interesting, and I suppose you could broadcast to Discord and broadcast somewhere else like Facebook or YouTube. But that seems pointless to me, because one of the big advantages in live video in the private community is you're trying to get people to join your community. You're saying, look, if you join our community, we've got all these cool things happening, and I assume that you would agree with that.
Yeah, because with Discord, anyone can join us. Like, there's servers that anyone can join, but then there's some that they're kind of gated. But I think the whole purpose with having, the Discord community is, I would almost see it as your own private community for, your business or yourself, and the content you want to share, you want it to be specifically for them, not anything. I'm sure that stuff you want to put out in the public too, but I would think if you're doing stuff within Discord, you're doing it specifically for those people, because that's your core community, so to speak.
Definitely. And the way I've seen this happen, so for example, there's a lot of YouTubers that, YouTube has a community aspect to it, but it's pretty basic. And so people will maybe join that community by paying something on Patreon or something, and then joining a Discord server. And there's different tiers for the different things, different levels of access, which is cool. With just briefly on the live video thing, how do you actually do it? Do you have to broadcast on the mobile app, or can you do it? Are there lots of different ways of doing the live video thing?
The only way I've seen it is through the mobile app, just because it was at events, and so I mean we didn't have a computer, but that's not to say you couldn't.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Okay.
do it
Well,
on
that's
a
cool.
computer.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that, because there might be a way to use other apps like Ecamm or StreamYard or something like that. But that's cool.
I know there's one, I think it's StreamYard, that they've used before to integrate some of the video. Like if you're not doing live at an event, like we've watched live, interview videos before, and they've done it through StreamYard. So Discord's kind of like a lot of these other apps where there's a lot of things that can integrate with it, that if they don't specifically have it, that you can integrate it into it. So I mean, I would almost think the sky's the limit in the different functionalities you could do and have it go different places.
Cool. Well, that sounds awesome. So it sounds like most live video tools out there will work. So why should we bother getting involved? I suppose this is a two-part question, really. Like, why should we as consumers join Discord servers? So like, I joined Mark Schaefer's server. This is for his community. And obviously I'm a massive fan of Mark. I'm good friends with him. So like, it seemed the right thing to do. And I actually really love the community, actually. But I have to say, like with some of the communities out there, it does feel a little bit almost like overwhelming. Just like, where do you start? So as a consumer, why should we bother? And I think then we'll maybe move on to like, well, why should we bother kind of creating our own community on Discord?
With that, Discord can be, I'll admit it can be overwhelming, especially if you're in multiple servers. But there's, they've got the settings and notifications you can set so it doesn't get overwhelming. And I'm sorry, I have to ask you to repeat the second part of the question. As I pop up on my
no,
computer,
that's fine.
This is for a split second.
No. This is my fault. And as an interviewer, you should never ask two questions at the same time, because I know what I'm like. It all goes out of my head. So the first question was about like you as a consumer, and I think you've given us some really good information there. And something that I've realized is that you can kind of control the notifications. You can mute things, and I've actually pretty much gone through all of the servers and muted most notifications except when people mention me, because obviously I don't want to be rude and miss things. So you can do all of that. So I suppose like the second part of the question was, why should we consider creating our own Discord server? So that was more like as a consumer, like why should I, for example, think about at some point creating my own Discord server for my community?
I think it's always a good idea to have that, especially, it helps you build your brand. I know that's very businessy, but as we're all in business, and I've seen, I know Discord has a functionality. You can use it as a school group. You could use it for your family. So, it's not just set to, okay, I have to use it as a brand, or I have to use it for, to build a community for my business. You also can use it personally. But on, the business side of it, having a core community, those are, what Mark likes to call your alpha audience. Those are the ones that are going to go out and, preach the gospel of your business. I know it sounds very churchy, but those are those are the ones that are the most, I guess, they're your biggest fans. And it's a place that, you can kind of have that intimate talk back and forth where you really get to know each other. And, even, any business having a community, that's, to me, I see a community as those are your fans, that they're going to go out and, help spread the word on your behalf. And having, using Discord as, your conduit to have those conversations going, especially because it can be more private. It makes it feel more exclusive. It makes, being part of a community, you want to feel important. You want to feel valued. And I know there's a huge push across the board anyway, marketing wise over the last couple of years, is personalization. You want that VIP experience. You want to feel like, you're acknowledged, and having, as a person or a business on Discord, having that gives you all of that, where you can invite people into a exclusive community. It makes them feel like they're getting in on something, and have those conversations, bounce ideas off of them to where, they really feel valued and appreciated. And then they're going to go to their friends like, hey, you really need to join this type of thing. And so there's benefits all the way around. I mean, the only negative I would see is, it can be time consuming, but other than that, I mean, it's going to help any business more than, it would hurt anything.
Yeah, I think those are all amazing points, like the exclusivity of it, building your brand. I don't think we need to apologize for that. It's that, but I love the exclusivity part of it, and growing that community. It can be overwhelming, but if you put that work in at the start, and then I suppose it can grow at a pace that you're comfortable with. I mean, you don't have to, there are different tiers, different levels that you can let people into. And there's even, we've talked about Web 3.0 on the show before. You can link it with, services like Rally for creator coins and presumably NFTs and things like that. So you can get really quite, futuristic with all of this.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's much. So I'm going to just on the screen for podcast listeners, I will explain what's on here. This is just an example of Discord, and at the far left we've got, actually I don't know whether you can see this on the screen. You probably can't actually. I've got, let's see if I can put it in. No, you can't. But I've got about how many I've got about 20 different servers I'm a member of, and then there are different is it right to say channels? Is that what we call them on the left? Yeah, different channels. And some of these are open to all people. Some of them you have to do certain tasks or be given special access to it. And then you got the main kind of chat area, and then you've got the people on the right, and you can even do like direct messages and things like that. So I suppose I want to ask the question, like with all of this, first of all, does it cost? Is there money? I've got the big banner at the top talking about Nitro costing me $2.99 per month. But so there's that aspect of it. I'm going to just ask you that one question first. I'm not going to ask you two. So like, is it, what's the cost involved with this?
Discord is free. At the base point, it is free. Anybody can join it. Anybody can use it. Anyone can have a server. Anyone can set up channels. The base functionality is free. Of course, then you said, there's Nitro at the top, which I do Nitro. It just kind of opens up. It's kind of like you think of, it's basically tiers of options. Basically, if you want to have, option for a customizable banner, okay, you got to pay, you got to upgrade it, or, you get server boosters, which is another thing that people can buy so many boosts and they can boost your server, which unlocks even more options you can do. But at the core of it, it's free. Like if, say my husband wanted to join it and get involved in a thing, he wouldn't have to pay a dime. I personally, spend the money on it just because I like to have all the options available to me. But for your, someone who's never used it before, it's free. There's I like the desktop version. I have Macs, and so I have the desktop Mac app on my Mac that I use. But there's the mobile app too. And so it's just, your preference on what you want to use. But at your base functionality that really a normal user that's just there to engage as a community member, that's totally free.
That's good to know, because I think that's where we probably all want to start. There's no point spending the money and then doing nothing for a year, because I know a lot of people do that. And get started, and then over time you can, if you need to upgrade, you can do that. I've been toying occasionally with the idea of upgrading, because I like the idea of having different profiles on different servers, but I kind of thought, I don't need that yet. So I think you need to just get started. So how do we actually get started if we want to create our own? We've already got a community of people who are kind of, but there's no place for them at the moment, or maybe there is. Maybe you've set up a Twitter community, a Facebook group, but you don't feel that's right. You want to create a Discord server. How do you get started? What's the best way of getting started with all of this?
Well, it's really easy. I mean, once you create your Discord account and log in, I mean, it gives you the options to join a server or you can create your own. And then once you create your own, then you can title it whatever you want. You can create whatever channels you want. It will give you an invite link to send to friends. But a little note on that, when you go to any server actually and get an invite link to send to somebody, there's a little teeny tiny and fine print edit button underneath it. If you click that, you can change how long that link is available. Something that's only for 24 hours, or if you want it to be unlimited, it's there for that same link forever. But then you send that link, and then the people will click that, and then if they have a Discord account already, then they can automatically join the server, or they can set up an account and join the server. That's your basic first steps. It's super easy. It walks you through how to do it. You don't have to have any kind of like high-end coding degree or any high-tech specialty to set it up.
No, that's good to know. So are there any like potential pitfalls in setting up your own Discord server? Because it sounds like there's a load of different settings there. And you mentioned a few things about like the expiration dates of the links and things like that. Would you say to just start very simply with maybe one or two channels and then take it from there? Is that how you do it? Or would you like create everything like this big complicated server from the beginning? I know where you're going to go with this, but just tell me.
I always approach grow as you go.
Yeah.
To where, when you start out with one or two. And then as you see, and kind of feel the community out, even with, Mark's community and with the Players Lounge community, things have come out of conversations in that particular channel. Like we had a funny story in the Players Lounge one. It got to the point where everyone, when Wordle was really, really big, everyone was sharing their Wordle results. And so it was kind of clogging up where that's all you saw. You didn't see the conversation. So we're like, all right, well, let's make a Wordle channel that when we play Wordle, that's where we put our results. And so everyone can check on each other. And then everyone got into, time period where everyone was sharing dog pictures. And I don't know how it came up. And so someone created a dog channel so we could put all of that in there just to kind of categorize out conversation so it doesn't get all muddled. But those came eventually as the community grew. And so I always would just grow as you go. I wouldn't want to, if ahead of time you want to have 5 channels and this is what you want them to be. You can do that. That's fine. But if you're a basic newbie to all of it and you don't really know what you need to have, just start with, one or two. One that's kind of, a start channel that people talk in, or you can call it open chat. And then you can have one that might be, say, like questions, like if they got a question on what to do in Discord, or almost kind of like a help channel, so to speak. But I wouldn't tackle everything at once if you're new to it, just because, it's, if you're going to try to set up 10 channels with custom, criteria for all of them, you're going to get a little overwhelmed if you're new to all of it. So I would, grow as you go.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the way to start. Like 1 or 2 channels is probably maybe 4 max is what you want to do. So you touched on one thing there, which is the customization of things. So just before we get on to that, I want to talk about like rules. Is it a good idea to have rules? And I've seen it when you join a Discord, you have to read the rules and then click on a kind of emoji at the bottom to say you've accept the rules. Is that an important thing when you set up your own server?
Yes. And I think any community, even if it's not on Discord, you need to have a set of rules that sets the parameters and expectations of that community or group. And you could Google and find probably 1,000 different variations of Discord rules, but they all tend to have the same components to it. Kind of here's what we're talking about, here's what we're not talking about. Kind of keep it polite. Everyone has no spamming policy. Everyone has keep it basically safe for work. Don't put anything in there that would embarrass your grandmother. Your basic common knowledge, what we should be doing anyway, but you have to spell it out because there's always somebody who's not going to pay attention. But you need to set those boundaries and parameters. When people join it, they know what the expectations are in being that. Because I know there's some that, they want you to participate so many times a week, or, it's like, okay, we're here for this purpose, but you just kind of lay it all out of, okay, here's who we are, what we do, here's what we expect from you, here's what you can't do. I hate, take negative approaches to stuff, but it's like, okay, here's what we're not going to allow, because we want to make it a safe place for these people, for your community to come talk without feeling, disparaged. And so having that and having people acknowledge it. I mean, it doesn't matter if this is a Discord community or even a Facebook group community, you need to have those parameters and rules set just so, and at the same time, it also kind of gives you an out of, okay, you need to have this in the rules as well. If you break one of these rules, here's the consequences. It could be you're muted for a while. It could be you just get flat kicked out. I know in the Players Lounge group, I've had to ban probably about a dozen people at this point just for coming in and posting racial slurs or stuff that was sexually explicit, stuff that violated the rules. So we had course to do that. Because if you don't have rules set up and you need to kick somebody out, there's really nothing to fall back on as, okay, well, if you don't have the rules, and it could be like, oh, well, you just didn't like that post, you kicked me out, as to opposed to you violated one of the community rules, therefore, because it's laid out, these are the consequences, you got to go.
Yeah, and I think you have to be really strong on these things. It's nice to be nice, but but the rules actually will create a much nicer and encouraging community. I think if you do that, presumably you can have different sets of rules for different channels. So there might be, I don't know, an opportunity. Maybe you kind of don't want any dog or cat pictures in any of the channels apart from one. And you might be quite explicit in saying, look, no cat pictures, but if you do, then use this channel. You can, presumably you do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's nice about it is you have the freedom to do, kind of set the parameters you want for all of it. It could be where, all right, you only post, on these certain channels, or you can like, all right, it's kind of wide open, just keep it PG type of thing. I jokingly sometimes in the Players Lounge ones call myself the Discord mom. So I'm in there and being like, all right, you need to be nicer. You can't say that. Because in that one, we do have the college athletes participating too. So it's kind of like looking out, because we want them to feel like it's a safe space. They can come talk as college athletes, come talk to their fans, and not be criticized because they didn't play well the weekend before. So, I mean, it's, and it just depends on, the purpose of your community, what it's there for, and you just make sure everything kind of aligns.
Yeah, and you need to be in there on a regular basis, and you may need to get some help. I mean, I think this is probably something that I would want to do is to get somebody, maybe, I don't know, like a full, not necessarily a full time, but somebody like a community manager to go in there, or maybe even you can get people, if you have some super fans, then you could. They could be moderate. You could get a couple of moderators to go in and presumably and help with that kind of thing. So the other thing I want to move on to is the idea of maybe there's gamification. So I've seen that if you get involved with the community, you can be assigned a rank or whatever. You can get different points or different roles, and you can then get access to other parts of the community that you didn't have access to before. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because this is quite cool. This is the one thing that I don't see other community apps or services offering, this gamification part of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because automatically, like, to do a lot on Discord, there's so many things you can do within it. And a lot of it, is through little bots, to be honest. I use MeBot. And so that will allow, I can go in and set, like I use MeBot on Mark's server. And so with that, the bot has so many different options. And it basically is like, almost like if you think of a WordPress website, it's a plugin. And what it does is it'll set levels, and like you'll see the more active you are, you accrue points. You accrue points for responding, for posting, for participating in different things, and you move up levels. And what you can do with those levels is the whole gamification thing that we're talking about, is because people want to, it almost makes it like a competition. So for example, okay, players lounge with ours, it's set up, since we're in the sports world, it's set up in levels of, we've got amateur, rookie, recruit, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, captain, all-America, VIP. It's set up in American football terms. And Mark's, we decided to have some more fun with his. He likes Star Wars. I like Star Wars. So we said, we're going to do it based on Jedi levels. And so you've got your different Jedi levels, from Padawan to Jedi Knight, Master Jedi, Order of the Council. And so, the whole thing is as people move up levels, and it's when you go on the server, especially on Mark's, and you look at everyone on the right side of the screen, it has everybody under their level. So you can see who's the Padawan. You can see who's a Jedi Knight. You can see who's Master of the Council. And so because people love competition. They want to get to the highest. If they see, oh, well, so-and-so's that, I want to get that. Or, oh, I want to beat this person. They're going to be more active to move up those levels. And so that's where a lot of the gamification comes in, is setting that side up. And it's just doing different things, encouraging people to be more active, to move up those levels. And you can set the levels. You can have as many as you want. You can have 20. You can have 5. You can set how many, how fast they have to accrue points for each level. But you can set, the names of the levels can have different colors. You can put an icon with it. So there's a lot of the customization stuff too. But I mean, if you're using Discord and you've got a server and you're wanting to do that, I mean, I recommend having fun with it. Because I mean, honestly, it's a community and people are there. They're going to engage. They're going to talk, and it's going to be, more kind of a business after hours type of thing. It's not going to be professional like a lot of what you would have in Slack. So I would say if you're going to gamify it, have fun with it. If you're into Star Wars, do the Star Wars thing. If you're into Game of Thrones, have your different houses, where you could be House Baratheon or Targaryen, or, have fun with it. Whichever, if it's Lord of the Rings, have your dwarves, have your elves, have your men, just have fun, because it'll really get people, like even with Mark's, he was like, should we announce that we're doing? I'm like, no, let's just see, let's just do it and have it pop up and see reactions, so, cause we launched that one. We finally got it launched last week. And so it's been fun to watch, but I mean, have fun with it. Is all I can say. Definitely.
Well, I've got work to do. I'm a Padawan at the moment, so I've got a lot of work to do on that server. But I love that. I love that aspect of it, and having fun and putting a personality into it. So I love the Star Wars thing. So that is cool. So is that aspect of it? You mentioned bots. Is that baked into Discord, or is it? You mentioned a plugin side of things. So are these third-party bots that you kind of install? Is that how it works?
Yeah, they are third party. They're like, if you went onto Google and typed in, Discord bots, there's a lot out there. I used MeBot just because that's what had already been set up with Players Lounge. When they added me on as an admin, I could see their back end of it. But I mean, they all have like MeBot, they've got a free version. I paid for the pro because I wanted more options. And so, but I mean, you could do it all and just use the free versions and still accomplish what you want to. A lot of it is, Discord has their basic functionality, but a lot of this extra is through, hooking a bot up. Like, for example, if you integrate Dapper or Rally into it, there's a Rally bot that we had to get from Rally to put in there to be able to, when people connect Discord and Rally, it'll see how many Rally coins they have to give them access to certain channels. So a lot of it is third-party integration.
This sounds cool. I'm going to have to look into this because I love integrations, and I wonder if there's like ways of integrating it with like a mailing list or with social networks. I don't know. There's probably loads of different ways you can get this to work, but keep things simple to begin with, because it's so tempting to kind of like get, first of all, you've got to think about growing a community first, because, and don't expect, that you're going to get hundreds of people joining to begin with if you don't have a community elsewhere. That I think we've pretty much gone through most things. I think just keep it simple, get started with it. Join a few other communities as well. Definitely join the Rise community. Mark Schaefer's one. But yeah, I think that's probably all we need to talk about. We could probably have to get you back on the show and talk about more advanced things in the future. But Mandy, what else are you working on at the moment? Have you got anything? How can people find out a little bit more about you?
Well, you can find us online. Our website is memarketingservices.com. Then we're on every social channel, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're most active on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me personally on LinkedIn under Mandy Edwards. But yeah, just connect with us. On Twitter, the handle is at MEMKTG Services, but it's got my name, Mandy Edwards, attached to it. So that one's a little bit different because I use it about 50-50 personal business. But yeah, we, love being online, love being involved in a lot of the social stuff and a lot like Discord and Web3, a lot of the emerging trends, because about 80% of our business is doing social media management and digital advertising for clients. So we try to be as involved with a lot of it so we can provide the best and the latest as it comes out for everybody.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Mandy. I think there was so much more we could talk about, but I think we'll leave it there. That's this. I've always been thinking about setting up my own server, but I think you are encouraging me. I will do it. Well, thank you, Mandy. It's been great to have you on the show. If you've got any questions for Mandy, you know how to find her on all the socials. Please do that. But we are out of time. It is the end of the show today. I will be back next week on Tuesday and Thursday for the live show. And of course, the podcast comes out every single Friday. So if you want to find out more about that, if you want to follow the show, go to iag.me/podcast. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.